Hello from Boise, Idaho. This is Trisha, and my presentation is on finding true purpose. And I chose this topic because I went through a process with my counselor to find my true purpose, and it was a really incredible experience, and I can see myself working with others in this, and I thought it would be an awesome gift for you to learn what I learned. Maybe make you some money. I sought counseling at this point in time in my life because I really wanted to make a change in my career. I knew I had a higher purpose. I didn't know what it was. I knew it wasn't in advertising. I didn't know how to make the jump from having my own business to doing something different. I knew it had to be pretty powerful because I knew I had to make some huge changes. And so he counseled me based on this book called True Purpose, 12 Strategies for Discovering the Difference You're Meant to Make by Tim Kelly. Highly recommend. And the book, I worked with my counselor who we went through the whole process together. There's exercises in the book. I'm going to go through some overview, but basically you do this book, you'll find your purpose. Carl Rogers in personal-centered approach knew that we all have self-actualizing tendencies. We have an inner nature to grow, to expand, to be whole, and to extend and develop. And so even knowing that, we still always ask the question, why am I here? We all do that at one point in our life. We need to have a need for meaning. We want to make a positive impact. We want to have our presence in our life be felt by others in a good way. Finding one's true purpose in the process that this book demonstrates is in alignment with psychosynthesis theory, in that self-realization is an ongoing relationship with a deeper self over the human lifespan, a relation that gives meaning and direction to human life. And it also reminds me of Erik Erikson's life cycle and the 7th stage of development. I am in that stage, are more concerned now with the next generation. What have we left for them? What ideas and products have we created that we will be remembered by? And also, we want to be productive and creative in our personal lives. That means work. So the process of finding one's true purpose is transformative, and it transcends all religious and spiritual boundaries. Your religious beliefs are highly relevant and a big part of the process. Those who have religious practices will have an easier time. Those who may be atheists may have a little harder time. But there's only one thing that is required, and that is that you must be willing to suspend your disbelief for sake of exploration. If one is willing to do that, then all doors are open. And also, to find your true purpose, you have to accept 3 things. And one, that is your purpose is already influencing your life, whether you know it or not. And that some part of you already knows your purpose. And that it is possible to communicate with the part of you that knows your purpose. And this book and the process is not for the faint of heart. Once you know your purpose, you're going to have to go after it. Which means some very scary and uncomfortable changes will have to happen. For instance, for me, to follow my purpose, I had to stop working. I had to stop bringing work in. I had to pretty much go broke. I got a job somewhere else. I got laid off. I had to sell my house. I put everything in storage. I'm living with a roommate. Basically living in poverty since I've been in school. But look behind me, I have a really nice place to live. I also knew that I would not be starving, and I would always have shelter because I have great people as resources also in my life. I'm really blessed. So this process really is recommended to go with it through a counselor, a professional somebody trained in this. So my thinking is, you do this with this book, you can make money with this for your clients. And remember, too, that it's important to have a counselor because our mind will play tricks on ourselves. Our ego does not want to change. We want to turn away from pain and move towards pleasure. Very Freudian view, but true. And the 12 strategies, I'm going to list them all, but I'm probably not by number. The first strategy is purpose hunting. Now, in our book Callings, our author Greg Lavoie would call this the drawing out or invoking a call. And basically, the second strategy is we have to have a conversation with our ego. We have to clear a path through our ego to understand our fears, identify our ego blocks, which, by the way, are the same blocks we talked about in class, which are our career beliefs and our personal beliefs that hold us back. We have to understand our inner protectors. Now, our inner protectors are the protector, the inner arguments that we have, and our subpersonalities. I'll tell you more about that. But we have the protector, which is the controller, the risk manager, the critic, which is the judge, the image consultant, which worries about what others think of you, and the skeptic, who is the doubter and the cynic. And their full job is to protect the inner child. And not just the inner child, but the wounded child. And this is based on attachment theory, with the importance of developing relationship with our primary caregivers. And at one point, a baby's life is basically, cry, sad, laugh, happy, get what your needs are getting met, and so things are processed very slowly and they're understood. But at one point in his life, something will happen that will not be able to be processed, and that's our first trauma, and that is the wounded child. And unfortunately, a lot of people have this ongoing, which is even more serious. But it becomes a conscious part of us, this denial, we decide not to feel something, we don't know how. And it becomes a key to our whole psyche. It is how our personality is built, how we've orchestrated our whole lives. It's the veil over every life choice. And so our whole life is driven by the sacred wound. And so the protector, the critic, the image consultant, the skeptic all have a big job of protecting this inner child. That's what they're there for. So we have to reassure our inner protectors by negotiating with them. And so we do this by giving them subpersonalities. This is a term in psychosynthesis theory where our normal personality is broken into several different parts. And we all have these different parts: protector, image consultant, skeptic. And so we have to work with them to find our purpose. We have to break through this ego that's holding us back. We do that through indirect access and direct access. Indirect access method is the most common. It's used by most life coaches. It's based on evidence in our lives already. To get there, you ask some questions. Conclusions are drawn from the questions. Basically, the conclusions, there's an alignment, and that's how you find your purpose. When I say alignment, it's like what Carl Rogers would say, the high congruence between the accuracy of your expression, your experience, and your awareness. And in other words, it's when you're feeling good in what you're doing, when things are running smoothly and there's no roadblocks. Those things will be determined through this process of indirect access through the questioning. There's also journaling through flow experiences. What feels good? What hasn't felt good? What experiences give you meaning? What have you done that gives you passion? And then there's another way of doing the indirect methods, and that's just ask 10 people. What happens when I come into the room? What shows up when I show up? And then there's the direct access methods, which is communicating directly with your soul and asking it what your purpose is. This results in much clearer picture, and it's the best way. However, there's a caveat, because it works for less people, and it raises the stakes. Sigmund Freud believed that we are driven by unconscious emotional forces that keep certain memories out of awareness. Well, that ego, that's what its job is. And it will get nervous when the soul starts talking about its purpose, because it's going to be wanting to resist. Remember, its main job is to keep you safe. The ego's desire is to control your life, avoid pain and struggle, manage others, how they perceive you, and to judge and categorize everyone and everything. So we have got to work with the ego and the resistance, or we cannot get to our true purpose. Sorry. We do that through a trusted source. We find a trusted source, which is something outside of ourselves that we can give a personality to, that we can communicate with, and we will get messages through our trusted source. We have to know, there's 3 criteria. We have to know that our trusted source exists, and that it already knows our purpose, and that it's capable of communicating with you. It can be internal source, like the ego, or psyche. It can be universal sources, such as God, Jesus, Spirit. That's why the atheists have a little harder time with us. The personal sources, it could be like an animal, spirit animal, an angel guide, an ancestor. We work through self-study methods with prayer, meditation, journaling, dreaming, a lot of different ways to communicate with your trusted source. The most important way is through dialogue, and that's a 2-way communication between you and your soul. I mentioned that a little bit ago. The psychosynthesis theory comes to mind here again because there's a belief that one's ego and soul, the I, is not separate from the psyche or the soul. They're one, and inclusive of the body, the soma. So we have to give each a voice, and we give them a chair, we give them a personality, and all my inner protectors, the protector, the critic, the image consultant, and the skeptic, all wore my mom's clothes. And which is interesting because some of the best methods for clearing these blocks are the use of family systems therapy, which, hey, that makes sense with my mom. Gestalt therapy, I mentioned that with the chair. And also, again, psychosynthesis, the working with our parts or our sub-personalities. We also work through guided meditation, hypnotherapy, dream work, journey work. Journey work is really important. The indigenous cultures use journey work, vision quests, drum journeys. In fact, I did a Hambletia, which is a vision quest, during the time I did this process, and it was incredible. Added a lot to it. Earlier in life, I had a shamanic message that my purpose was revealing beauty, not creating it, but bringing it to light so it can be seen. And that always intrigued me, and that also, knowing that also made me be curious about what more was there to that. Eco-psychology comes to mind as well, because that is where one is open to listening to and receive guidance from the natural world. I've also been blessed because I've been able to do that my whole life. I've always been spoken to. Rocks have spoken to me, water, wind. So this process is a lot easier for me because of those experiences. And then the book goes through interpreting the results, and in doing that you formulate purpose information from source. You find that by hearing things multiple times. Then you get purpose statements. And for instance, that's why another reason a professional is good to have, because purpose statements will bring up feelings for you, and what you connect with was to be a big part of that. There's also a purpose statement you'll find based on essence. Mine is, I am a beacon of light. Purpose statement based on blessing. My blessing is guide people to their inner light. And a purpose statement on mission. My mission is to guide the world to enlightenment. And yes, it's grandiose, and it's supposed to be. It's the bigger thing. And a good indicator that they're accurate is how you feel. You will have an emotional and physical response by those. And if you don't get purpose statements, it may not be your time. Trusted source may not be ready to give you your purpose. But you have a trusted source, which is very exciting at this point. And so you can reason with them. Ask them questions. What do I focus on now? What changes do I need to be made before you'll send me on my path for my purpose? And then we have to live with the not knowing. We do that through pathfinding and recognizing the external and internal signs all around us that tells us that we're on the right path. What activities are effortless, exciting, fulfilling? What is going well? What's going not so well? What around me gives me positive thoughts, negative thoughts? And then we have to live our purpose. Our trusted source is there for us. He will teach us through our choices. We don't make good choices, we will learn. We get a choice to do it again. Remember, our ego's not going to like it. There's going to be an inner conflict. We have to say no a lot, be really clear. We have to notice synchronicities. Carl Jung termed referred to it as events and circumstances that happen randomly but seem to have a deeper meaning. We have to engage in synchronicities to search for a purpose, because these are communications from our trusted source. We have to be mindful in hearing these things and finding these things. Our trusted source will set ourselves up, arranging circumstances, and propel us faster towards a purpose than our ego will ever will. And then we have to communicate our purpose to others. A few, safe people, and then to the world. So my true meaning of my purpose is helping others reveal their inner beauty. Now I'm saying that to you, but to my friends I've said, my purpose is to be a counselor, to help people find happiness, to help them find their inner wisdom and their purpose in life, to help them find purpose. And then I have an ongoing dialogue with my trusted source, because it's always going to be changing. I'm going to get through school, and then a big piece is going to be done, and I'm going to have other things to be working towards for my huge mission of enlightening the world. In closing, I want to say that we are all precious gifts, that the world needs us and the gifts that we brought, and the world's waiting. We've got to move forward, and so do our clients. People, we all want to find this. And that it's a gift to ourselves first. Finding purpose for ourselves is a huge gift. And then putting it out to the world is the other part of that. So thank you very much. Have a great weekend. I am excited about seeing your presentations.